Welcome to the introduction of the Food4CE mapping tool for best practices in food supply. This tool enables you to explore individual AFNs in detail, compare them with one another, and derive insights from the various approaches and experiences. First, navigate to the Knowledge Transfer platform, and select the Knowledge Base menu item at the top of the header. In the lower left section, you will find the elements of the knowledge base. The second item is the mapping tool for best practices in food supply. When you click on it, a brief introduction will open explaining the purpose of the tool and how it can be used. The tool supports the identification of strengths and weaknesses, highlights promising practices, and fosters knowledge exchange. It also enables you to assess and benchmark your own organization or other stakeholders. To work with the tool, please download it using the link provided at the end of the page. A link to the download folder on your computer will open, allowing you to access the tool. Once downloaded, the file is stored locally on your hard drive, meaning that all data entered remains under your control. The tool is Excel-based and compatible with standard versions of Microsoft Excel. It contains 6 tabs. The Start tab provides background information about the Food4CE project and outlines the functionalities of the tool. At the beginning of the project, the team defined the criteria that constitute best practice in alternative food networks. These criteria are advanced logistics, digitalization, local focus, sustainability, and transparency. Detailed explanations of these criteria, including the underlying requirements and assessment logic, are provided in the second tab, Best Practice. Familiarity with these definitions is essential for correctly interpreting the results generated by the 3 subsequent evaluation options. First, go to the Validation tab, where you can find out whether a business is a best practice according to the definition, and compare it with others. At the bottom left, you will see instructions on how to proceed. If you cannot see them, you will need to make the image a little smaller. If you have forgotten the definition of the criteria, go to its name and you will get help. Start by entering the name of a company in the first field. Then rate this company from 0 to 5. In our example, we call the company Farmland. It is very good at logistics, does a lot in digitalization but has little local focus, works very sustainably, but its external transparency is only moderate. Overall, it receives an average score, and we can immediately see whether the company is a best practice, which means scores more than 3 points, or not. You can now use the tool to conduct comparisons. Why is this useful? It can serve as a basis for discussion within a cooperative, a working group, or an event organized by an interest group. It is also valuable for identifying areas in which an organization performs better or worse compared to others. To do so, simply enter additional organizations. The table then displays several results. The color assigned to each criterion remains consistent across the column, but the shading becomes lighter or darker depending on the rating. Thanks to the color coding, which corresponds to the color coding used in the definition, you can immediately see where there is room for improvement, but also where the strengths lie. In the graphical view, the organizations are displayed side by side. This allows to identify the highest performing organization at a glance, and to analyze where its specific strengths lie. The resulting validation can provide a structured starting point for internal reflection and exchange. The tool can also be applied more broadly. It is not limited to individual organizations. It can be used to compare regions, countries, or different types of actors within local agricultural systems. Within the project, for example, partner countries compared their aggregated results and discussed observed differences. The analytical scope is flexible, and these comparative approaches can form the basis for constructive and forward-looking discussions. During the assessment process, you examine the individual criteria in greater detail. This allows to identify which elements of the defined best practices are already implemented by the organization, and, in areas with lower scores, to reflect on whether additional measures could support its further development. The listed aspects are intended to provide orientation and stimulate structured self-assessment. Let's start with putting the names of the companies. As in the previous sections, each best practice criterion retains its assigned color. At the level of the sub-criteria, however, you are asked to respond with yes or no, to indicate whether the described measures are implemented within the organization. it is important to complete each row fully, which is indicated by the colored fields. As you can see here, we missed one field, which we can see immediately because it's still green. Incomplete entries will lead to incomplete evaluation results. The outcomes for each criterion are displayed directly below the table in the integrated graphics, enabling an immediate overview. The third application of the tool, the business model section, uses the Canvas method. It is designed to help you better understand your business model by identifying 9 key areas of operation that provide a structured overview of how your business functions. By answering a structured set of questions, you obtain a consolidated view of the organization as a whole. Completing the fields not only guides you to better understand your distribution channels and delivering method, but also other important aspects, such as what are your key activities, cost and revenues, who are your customer and what they value the most. The Canvas can be used individually by each AFN to assess its business model. It can also be used by agricultural advisory services, business consultants, and regional development agencies to guide AFNs through the process of understanding their business operations and identifying areas for improvement. To facilitate this process, the Instruction Business Model tab provides guiding questions for each area, helping users reflect systematically and develop well-founded responses. Thank you for your attention.